down in the basement, I have no idea where it's
Please look upstairs. Thank you, dear. Okay, we are on Daf Yud, not Yud. Yeah. We are on Daf, Daf Tes Merav. Daf Tes. Halacha Yud. Page 17, Bava Metzia. Let's see if we can get a hold of him.
That's what he said. She's going to have him certified.
All right, halacha Yud. What can you do? I have to finish this thing by hook or by crook. Ezri Aveda, what's a lost article? Matzachamora Paroim Baderech. If he finds a donkey or a cow grazing in the field, Einzu Aveda. It's not lost, obviously. It's grazing in the road. It's not an Aveda because obviously that happens. You send your animal out to graze. Chamor v'kelev afuchi, he finds the donkey and it's, however he finds the donkey and its saddle, whatever, is overturned. Upar ratzim and akramim, and a cow running among the vineyards. Hareza aveda, it is a lost item. Hichziro barcha. If it ran away, he gave it back and ran away. He gave it back and it ran away. I feel arba chamish upon me 4 or 5 times. Chayev lahachzir. He's got to continue to give it back. Shneimar, it says, Hoshev Tishiveh, and the mitzvah continues. What if in the course of giving back the Aveda he's losing money? Right? Because it's taking time off of work in order to do it. So if he's losing a selah, Lo Yomar Lo, he shouldn't say to the person whose object he found, Tenli selah, give me a selah, and Lo Scharo Kaparo Bato. You pay him based on minimum unemployment. We have this concept of a comma. Now, in other words, schar batola, what he would take not to work, not what he would make as he was working. Which is an interesting concept. I forget this from time to time, but you actually, the person who's watching the Aveda has the right to claim payment for it, for watching the Aveda, because it's obviously in the interest of the individual who lost it. Like we learned in the previous Mishnah, he can't claim more than the object is worth. At that point, he should either sell it or get rid of it, because it reaches the point of diminishing return. Okay, if there's a basin, you can stipulate in front of basin that you don't want to have just the minimum unemployment, but rather the maximum unemployment. In other words, what you actually would make if you're working at your regular job. In that case, the basin certifies that. In other words, obviously, basin paskins that you're allowed to receive that. Hopefully, the basin will judge it fairly and see if it's worthwhile for the person who lost Aveda to pay you with your full wages. But that's what basin's supposed to judge. Normally, you can't demand that unless you go in front of a court. He mentioned basin lifnei miyasne. If there is no basin, entram lifnei miyasne. Sorry, I read it wrong. Entram lifnei miyasne. If there's no basin from which whom to make such a condition, a stipulation, in other words, to go and have them adjudicate the matter, shalo koidim, then you don't have to lose your wages in order to give back the Aveda. In other words, if you're going to sustain a significant loss, giving back the Aveda, then it's not your achrayus to go out and go through the efforts. It's only if it's a relatively minor thing and you think you can get paid back that you can do that. Hello? Yosef Beckhofer. Back. So if there's no, did you turn on? Yeah. It's Eichel Nemiyasa Shloko in his construct. Matzah berefes. You found it in if you found it in a stable. Enochayabah. The stable, now even the stable is open, and obviously the animal can walk out. You're not required, or barn is a better word. You're not required to give the animal back to the owner. In other words, you're not required to go lock the barn for the animal or make sure there's something there.
He's in his own stable, but the door is open.
Right.
So you don't have to lock.
You don't have to, right?
The door.
No.
But you know he's going to walk out.
What?
chances are he'll wander away.
Yeah, you don't. That's not chiyuv of Shabbos Aveda. Once it wanders out,
Prevented if you're doing the preemptive
that's true. It's a
action.
mitzvah to do it, but it's not required. Not required.
Well, it's not really an Aveda yet. It's a
That's
Aveda
right.
waiting to happen.
It's on Aveda waiting to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Technically, you're off the hook at this point. B'rshus harabim chayav. If you found it in the public domain, then you're liable. If it's among graves, the coin shouldn't become tamei for it. Imam lo aviv he tamei. His father said, "Go become tamei for it." Or Shamar lo al taxer, he said, "Don't give it back." Hareis lo yishma lo. Don't listen to it. Pirek v'ton, afilu arba chamisha pamim. If he, now this is a new issue actually, Pirek v'ton. Pirek v'ton is the issue which has to do with the a donkey which is overloaded. Or loading, there's two mitzvahs. One is to help somebody load a donkey and help somebody unload a donkey. Pirek is if the donkey is overloaded to help unload it. Ton is to help somebody who's having difficulty loading his donkey in loading it. So those are two related mitzvahs. The question is which is the Raisa, which is the Rabbanan. If one's the Raisa, one's the Rabbanan. This is an issue which we're going to discuss now. So says the Gemara.
Unloading the donkey is not also tzar b'alachayim.
Oh, the Gemara is actually going to discuss whether tzar b'alachayim is involved in this or not. I can't see from here. Is the tape turning? I can't see from here. Okay, good. So Pir V'ton. I feel Arba Chamish Tony even 4 or 5 times. Chai to continue to do so. Shneimar Azov Tazov. Continue to do it. Azov Tazov. It's double language, right? So therefore, you have to continue to do it. Halach v'yashav lov. The owner went and sat by the side of the road and said, "Listen, horev alecha mitzvah. Horev alecha mitzvah. Since for you it's a mitzvah, for me it's not a mitzvah. It's your mitzvah to help me. If you want to unload. Potter, you're exempt. You don't have to go with him." Shemar says, "Imo, with him, not by yourself, right? You don't have to go and do it on your own." If he was sick or elderly, chayav, then obviously he's incapable of doing himself, so then you're chayav to help him in that situation, even if he's sitting by the side of the road, anticipating that you're going to do the work for him. Mitzvah not totally focused. Mitzvah midaraisa, to remove loads, avalolito, but not to help somebody load up his donkey. Okay, so you would say because of tzar b'alachayim, right? Makes sense. If Shimon says it's also mitzvah to load up the donkey. Question is why? All right, we're just going to discuss that. If he's bearing her more than his burden, you're not required to assist the owner. Shneimar says, "Tachas maso," underneath his load, load which he can maintain. I have a question, says Amar. Normally, say mitzvah saseh could precede the lo saseh, which same principle which we have is aseh docha lo saseh, right? That's the standard principle. You're saying the mitzvah saseh does not precede the mitzvah saseh. In other words, you can't listen to your father if your father tells you to go be matame, or let's say if your father says. Your father says, or for that matter, to go into Beis Forest in order to, if you're a Kohen, to, in and of itself, why should you not be allowed to do so?
The principle of it, if your father or mother tell you to do
that's where the more answers, right? There's the more answers. So it says, the more it says, Shani Shuva Aviv Chayav Mi Koven HaMakom. Since both you and your father have to honor Hashem, so your father has no right to yeah, it is Rashi Chumash, that's right. Tani, relearned. Rovates v'lo rabtzon. If it's a donkey which is just right now crouching, or I shouldn't say crouching, staggering beneath its load. Not one which constantly staggers. In other words, you're not required, this animal is a staggering animal, you're not required to continuously pursue its even balance. So it says, Tani, when I have a question like this, we learned, we go back and we learn another price. It says, Parikimo afilu me'apamim, b'yoyim, even 100 times a day. So how do you reconcile the one which says, not a rabtzon, with the one which says, even 100 times a day? Hey, the tema rovitz v'lo rabtzon, that one which says, one which staggers occasionally, but not consistently. But an animal which causes itself to fall on the ground. Vein the Tamar Porikimar Filomea that says you do even 100 times. But Odonis, it's an animal which is falling because it is onus. In other words, it's not its own, it's not staggering because it's a lazy animal, but it's staggering because, in fact, it's overburdened, right? Kitivka. It says, and this is also in the Bavli, most of this, Kitivka, when you meet up with the animal, Yochopkia Mamish, with the animal which is staggering. Is it talking the animal when you bump into the animal? It says when you see the animal. If it's kisire yocha filu rachok, should be the Escorial says melomil. Is it even when you're a full meal away? Tamuloma kisivka? No, it says when you meet up. So how do we reconcile? I have two contradictory psukim. How to reconcile this? So hey, Chacham gave a shiur. It's interesting. It's like when we have contradiction in psukim. So it's like we hear the reconciliation to psukim is Mosan HaKosav L'Chachamim. Chachamim said the Torah would really say, you determine what the distance is at which one is required. So shiur Chachamim, okay, to shiur Chachamim, Echom Shiva Mechza B'Mil, it's 1/7.5 of a meal, which is 266 2/3 amos, and that's called a ris, specific shiur. I don't know how they came up with that measurement. Maybe it's not just eyesight, but it's also it's called vicinity, I guess. That's the definition, being in the vicinity of the animal which is in trouble. So I guess the same thing if you saw somebody who needed to go change the tire on his car. So if you're within a risk of that person, then you would be chayav to help him out.
Push the car.
Help push the car. It's not right. So that would be the same thing. Azov ta'azov zu prika. Now, it depends, of course, what the mitzvah is. Azov ta'azov zu prika. Azov ta'azov, that's removing loads. Hakein ta'keim, helping to stand up. Zu ta'ina, that's placing loads. Now, this is Tanakama, right? Oh, not Tanakama, sorry. The Shaitan throws in here the words Mikan Hoya. And Mikana, because it's all Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Mikana Hoya, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, America Shem, Sheporka Minatora, Kach To'ano Minatora. This is the Drash Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that just like you have to remove loads, so too you have to help him shoulder loads on his donkey. Now, according to this, the mitzvah is not Tzar Bal Echaim. The mitzvah is actually, and the Bible says it's more or less explicitly, is the Tzar of the Baal Behemah. So I'm not helping the animal because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doesn't hold Tzar Bal Echaim is Doraisa. He holds Tzar Bal Echaim is Doraborak. Or even if it's Doraisa, no, it's not Doraisa. It's only Doraborak. And it also doesn't apply all the time. How do we see that? Because here he says it's not just a mitzvah to unload, which is Tzar Bal Echaim, it's a mitzvah also to load. So it says the Gemara, therefore, and of course the rabbis, the Rabbanan, who say that the mitzvah d'oraisa is only to unload, not to load, they hold Tzar Bal Echaim is d'oraisa, and the mitzvah is one of Tzar Bal Echaim. Now what's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is obvious. If you have a Jewish donkey, right? It's not a donkey who's a Jew, but a donkey belongs to a Jew. And the load of a goy is on its back. In that case, everybody agreed, both Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbanan, you have to unload and load the animal, right? But chamor akom umasoish, so if the donkey belongs to a goy, even if the load is a Jew, now we have to reverse the shittas. It's clearly in the wrong cut and paste Gemara. You have to skip to the last line. Porik loton, you remove the load, because even on an animal which belongs to a goy, there's this issue Tzar Bal Echaim, but you don't have to help load it, because helping to load, there is no such mitzvah in the Torah. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Chazal only said help your fellow Jew. They didn't say help the goy. Kedivei Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Shimon, however, and skipping back here to before, lo porek v'lo toein. You don't have to do either one, because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's not a mitzvah Tzar Bal Echaim. There is no mitzvah Tzar Bal Echaim. The whole mitzvah is to assist your fellow Jew. So assisting your fellow Jew, that applies only to a Jew, not to a goy. Hello? Just a minute, please. Meira, go around. Avidasu, aviv. his Aveda, his loss, and Aveda of his father. Shaloi Kodemes. His loss comes first, okay? Your loss comes always first. Like we said in Allah Shiur, really. You know, if you're going to lose money, you're not required to lose money. Avedas of Rabba. His loss and his Rebbe's loss. Shalom Kodemis, his loss comes first. Avedas Aviv, Avedas Rabba. The Aveda of his father and the Aveda of his master. Shalabba Kodemis Shalaviv. His masters comes before his fathers. Shalaviv Vil Chayilom Azeh. His father brought him to the world to come. His Rebbe brings him to him Haba. So that's more important. If his father, wherever his Tamachacham, like his Rebbe was, is Avedas Aviv Kodemis, his father's loss comes first. Similarly, if his father and his Rebbe are bearing burdens, first you take off your Rebbe's burden, and then your father's burden. Your father and your Rebbe are in prison, but it's Rabba first to redeem your master, your Rebbe, and then you do your father afterwards. If his father ever is Tamachacham, play this Rabba first to redeem your father, and then you redeem your Rebbe. Tani, we learned there by so Ezu Rabbo, Shalimdo Chacham, what's considered to be a Rebbe? Shalimdo Chachma, who taught him wisdom. Kosher Pasach Lo Tchila, Divi Rabbi Meir. It's a very interesting Yerushalmi. In the Bavli, Rabbi Meir is said to have said something else altogether. In the Bavli, it says his Rebbe is he who taught him Chachma and not Mikra and Mishnah. So it has to dafka be upon Rabbi Meir. In the Bavli, somebody taught you Gemara. But here Rabbi Meir says something totally different. He says the person who taught you how to learn to begin with. You know, it's along with the Gra. The Gra all held his Rebbe. Famous story about the Gra. The Gra held to be his Rebbe only one person. The person taught him Aleph base. Because once he knew Aleph base, he said he could learn on his own. And that's really this Gemara. What the Mayor is saying, whoever opened for you the gates of learning, he's the person who's your Rebbe. Not anybody who comes afterwards. That's the Mayor Shita. Rabbi Yehuda Mer Kosher Rov Talmudim Imenim. Rabbi Yehuda says, anybody who most of your Talmud comes from him. Now, most of your Talmud comes from him means not just like Rameir holds in the Bible, your Gemara, but also your Agadita and your Tanakh and your Mishnayos. So it's a very interesting definition. According to Rabbi Yehuda, Talmudo means all of his learning. So in the Bavli, Rabbi Yehuda loses language kosher of chachmaso imenu, which means which is interesting because according to both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, they use the word chachma and they have two different meanings. Chachma Rabbi Meir is Gemara. Chachma Rabbi Yehuda means like much broader definition, right? Not just Gemara, but also every other aspect of Jewish learning. Here, there is a distinction. Rabbi Shim the chachma Rabbi Meir. That's the capacity to learn, because that's somebody who gave you the basics. Whereas Talmud means the body of Jewish knowledge. Okay, Rabbi Yosef says kosher enough b'mishnasa, and the Bavli Girs and also in the Escorial is afilu b'davar echad b'mishnasa, even in one mishnah. Your Rebbe is somebody told you one mishnah. If he teaches you anything, that's already considered to be a Rebbe. Rav Meir, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef. We're going to have three stories now, the three opinions, and each one holds like a different Tana in which what we just learned. Rav Meir, Rav Meir, Chad Bar Nash Pasach Pumi the Rav. A certain individual was the one who opened Rav's mouth. Now, it doesn't mean literally he opened his mouth. What it means is that he taught him how to learn. So, no, he's even an anonymous fellow. We don't even know who it is. Obviously, not one of the big scholars of the generation. Yerushalmi Bava, are you off the phone? Can you please check if there's a voicemail from Mayor McGinsey?
Sure.
No? Yerushalmi Bava, okay, must be really angry at us. Yerushalmi Bava, I was telling Dr. Phil. Yerushalmi Bava, and you heard that this fellow died Ubaza Lave, and he ripped and he did rice kriya on him. Okay?
What happened?
The guy, this Rebbe who taught him how to learn, his first grade Rebbe, he did kriya upon him. So we see holds that that's considered to be his Rebbe. Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yochanan was telling me Tveri Yochanan went from Tveri to Tzipori. He was on a trip. Chamachar Parnash, he saw a certain individual. Tapa Yudam Nachas Mitama was coming down from there, from Tzipori. Tzipori was higher than Tveri. Tveri was on the seashore, Tzipori was higher. Yeah, Makalam Dinasa, what's going on in the countryside, or in your district? And they say, Chad Rabba Dam, a certain rabbi died. And everybody's running the top of the bait to go and get involved with Levaya. The other Rabbi Yochanan knew who Rabbi Chanina. That was Rabbi Chanina. Shoch V'asin money Tovin D'Shuv So Bazun, he sent that they should bring him his Chosh for Shabbos clothes, and he ripped them. So this is where we're waiting. Locating time that we learn Kol Kera She'eno Shal Behalah, any rip which is not of confusion. And Kera means it has to be a spur of the moment thing. It's like a emotional reaction kriya. So I mean, of course, when we do kriya nowadays, it's after the kvura, but that's obviously a very emotional time, right? So, but if you to do premeditated, bringing my better clothes to do kriya, that takes away the whole concept of kriya, right? So this is more not necessarily. Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. Rabbi Yochanan ba me'evet Rabbo, the Rabbo mukrise. Rabbi Yochanan want to do something more grandiose and give more covet. So Rabbi Yochanan holds you don't have to do it right away. It's ironic. The Lieberman brings down he argues in Rabbi Yehuda on this, because he argues in Rabbi Yehuda, who he holds in Rabbi Yehuda that Rebbe is somebody who taught you any area. We'll see momentarily. But he argues in Rabbi Yehuda that Rabbi Yehuda holds you have to do kriya immediately, and he holds you can wait on kriya. So okay, that does not be consistent, right? Can hold like Rabbi Yehuda one thing, not another thing. So be as it may. So we don't know Imushum Rabbi. We still know if he did because because Rabbi Chanina was his Rebbe. Imushum Shmuel Soros. It's time was a bad thing to hear, and therefore because of bad news, he kriya, regardless of whether it's Rebbe or not. So it says the Gemara. Now here there's something very much missing, and the Escorial brings it down, and also the Kikar Laden brings it down the bottom. Now you have. I don't know if you can read it in that small Gemara, but there's a Kikar Laden. It says like this. Milsid Rabbi Chia in the second line of the Kikar Laden all at the bottom. Milsid Rabbi Chia Abba Amara. What we're about to learn the name Rabbi Chia Abba teaches us Mishum Dahava Rabbi Chanina, because Rabbi Chanina was his Rebbe. Have a mistamach Tzipori, because the story is getting back to the Gemara itself. And the first, at the end, the first wide line, Rabbi Chanina was leaning Rabbi Chia Bar Tzipori. There's an old man, he was leaning. He saw all before he died, obviously. He saw everybody running. So he said, why is everybody running? So he said, Rabbi Yochanan and Yosef, Rabbi Yochanan saying, Dorish of Beis Medrash, and he's dashing the Beis Medrash. So Rabbi Benoya, he's saying, Rabbi Benoya. Everybody's running to go hear him. So Rabbi Chia said, Rich Rachmana, bless the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Chameli Poirin, who showed me my peros. Adonacham B'chaim, while I'm still alive. Why is that? It should be, it's either B'kol, should be either B'kol or Kol. It's not clear exactly which, what the Vav here represents. You can just drop the Vav. But the Charter has B'kol, and the Escorial has Kol, something like Escorial. Kol agadata, instead of vilbega agadata, he has kol agadata, but I taught him all agadata, all midrashim, chutei mishrei v'kohelis, except for Mishnah and Kohelis. That's what he taught. So Damras teaches us, Rabbi Chanina, remember, Rabbi Yochanan tore kriya when Rabbi Chanina died, but Rabbi Chanina didn't teach him Gemara. Rabbi Chanina taught him agadata. So teach us kol instead of Talmud v'Talmud, it should be called Talmud v'Talmud. So Yishar Torah Yisrael has it. There's other gears on the Skorial, Koshla, Rov Talmudim Imenu, but in any event it means that it does, like Rabbi Yehuda, doesn't just go by Gemara, because Rabbi Yochanan didn't learn any Gemara from Rabbi Chanina, he learned Tagarata from Rabbi Chanina. But that too counts as being your Rebbe. That's what we're trying to say. Okay?
Does the Gemara, does it use the term Talmud for Gemara? I don't recall.
Talmud doesn't just mean Gemara in the Gemara.
When they say Talmud here,
Yeah.
so they don't necessarily mean.
No, they mean any stuff, any discipline.
Anything that's.
Right, any discipline, that's what it means. Any limud, or we would say in modern Hebrew. Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, it's even one thing. Amar Chai Barnash, because one person said, I'm sorry, Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Amar, I'm not sure what the Amar is here. Somebody said, Chai Barnash, Azbil Shmuel, a certain individual explained to Shmuel a Mishnah on Talmud, or Midos, I forget what it is. Vishnei Maftech, something about two keys in the base, two keys they had in the base of Mikdash. Echad Yored La'amas Beis HaShechi. One you have to stick your hand all the way into the hole and turn around in order to open. Ve'echad Bosech Kivan, and when you open directly. Shayom Marida, he explained to him, Shayom Marida Yodo Ad Shechyoya Bosech Kivan. He would open, he would put his hand into his shoulder, and the other one he would open directly. Shama the Damach, he just explained to Shmuel this one Mishnah, again I think it's in Midos, or I think it's in Talmud. When he just explained this one Mishnah, Shama the Damach, when Shmuel heard that this fellow died, Bozallah, he writes Kriya on him. So we see that even one thing is very considered to make you a Rebbe. Okay? New parak. Somebody who gives for safekeeping to his friend, behema, an animal, kalim, or objects, benignu, when they were stolen, or shavdu, or lost. Now, the nifkat here, the individual who's given the articles of Bikadon, shilin, he pays. Even though you could get off with the hook with the shua, let's say he was a shomer chinam, right? So it's not chayav in anything, really. Let's do is take a shua, he wasn't posheah. He wasn't negligent, so it's hook. But he didn't want to take a shua. He paid. They said, has the right to take the shua and go out, but here instead he paid. If then the thief is found, the thief pays double, if he slaughtered or sold, he pays 4 or 5, but does he pay? Misha Bikar Netzel, it's a guy who has to be Kadol. In other words, to the Shomer. Why? Because the Shomer paid for the right to get the Kefa or Arba Chamisha. However, Nishba, what did the Shomer get himself off? So by taking the old Taka, for Loratzel Sharmi, he didn't want to pay. Then the Ganav does pay Tashlume Kefil. And if he slaughtered or stole, slaughtered or sold, then he does pay 4 or 5, but the meal but whom does he pay in this case? The original about Bikar. How do we know that this is the case? So it says if you find in his hands the theft, and it says that it goes on, he paid double. He ain't on the other one, will be morons. Do we not know you find the thief Yerushalmi B'shnayim, he pays double. We know from elsewhere that the Ghana pays 2, right? So it says when I made it low, if it's not necessary, it tells that a Ghana pays twice. Today English fun of it's going on a case where the shomer, where there was a shomer, which is immediately preceding parsha in the Torah. And something else is sometimes when you find a Ganav, the Ganav doesn't pay necessarily the owner, but sometimes he pays the shomer. Right? It says here, Rebbe, should be Reb Nachman, going to Escorial. The Rebbe would be in our town, and it's clearly in Amora. Rebbe Al-Lapir, Rebbe Nachman Al-Lapir, called the Rebbe Yuni, went into Rebbe Yuni's drasha, Amar Kumei Hadar. He said in front of him this previous Gemara, which you just learned. So Amar Lei, so Rebbe Yudon said to Rebbe Nachman, Emored Vashlo. Look at the next statement. Nishbav, in other words, in the Mishnah, Nishbav, the Shomer takes a shvuah of a Lord, so Shomer didn't want to pay. If and when the Ganav is found, Mishan Teshlume Keifel, he pays double. Tavach Mach Mishan Teshlume Arba Chamisha. But to whom does he pay then? About Pikadon, that he pays to the the original owner, right? When there's a shvur. If you're going to say it's exeris hakosov, that sometimes it goes to the shomer, right? As we were saying, exeris hakosov sometimes kefil goes to the shomer. He can acquire the right to the kefil. So v'yishaylim b'shipikon. So why in this case also? Whether the shomer got off the hook by virtue of paying the original owner, or the shomer got off the hook by virtue of taking his shvur, you should only pay to the shomer.
Yeah, but the shomer wasn't out any money in the case of the
Oh,
shomer.
you're saying good. It says Yerushalmi, the Xeris Akosov. Now, the Ritbaz, like it says in Machlokas between the Ritbaz, between the Bav and Yerushalmi. The Ritbaz says the Bavli holds it's a Svo. That he buys the right to the kefil when he pays, like you just said. Right? That makes sense, right? Okay, Bavli makes sense. But it's not Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi says Xeris Akosov. Yerushalmi's going to learn out of a pasuk. Okay? Sorry, Nazir Shem Rayin said Chaim Shnaim Yishalim. Double you pay. Okay? L'makom shakeren mahalech shama kefil mahalech. Wherever the keren goes, the kefil goes. Now, where the shomer, what he says, when the shomer paid the original owner. So now, when the double gets paid, one of those payments is going to have to go where? To reimburse the shomer.
Yeah.
So once the shomer gets one of the payments, he gets the second payment as well. That's how he's doing Xeris Akosov. Not like the Bavli that it's a svara, that he was koine the right to kefil. Rather, since he needs to get one payment, the other payment falls in his lap as well. And there'll be ramifications to that distinction later on. So according to the Bavli, it's svara. According to Yerushalmi, it's Xeris Akosov. Okay? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lezer, and Rabbi Nasa Mosif, Rabbi Nasa also added, B'Shem Rabbi Yisrochin, the same name Rabbi Yisrochin, Lo Sof Tavar Shilim, you should know, and it sounds to me like this works out much better like the Shaman than the Bavli, it's also in the Bavli as well. It's not just if the shomer already paid cash, that he gets the kefil. Once he announced that he's willing to pay, Commissioner Sherman as if he paid. This works out very well according to Bavli, because the Bavli says the whole work is he's willing to take a chance and take care of the Baal Bikonim, right?
So even if he doesn't do it, he's still...
No, of course he has to do it eventually, but even the promise to do so, the pledge to pay the Baal Bikonim, which is collectible, is enough to get the shomer to be liable, right? To get the shomer to get the kefil in case there is kefil, right? So even if he hasn't actually paid out yet by the time the Ganem comes on the scene, but the fact that he's willing to give that peace of mind to the Baal Bikono that he's the guarantor, that in itself gets him the kefil.
So in that case, he really makes out well, because he doesn't pay the money.
No, he's got to pay the money.
Oh.
He does have to pay. No. You can't.
It sounded like...
No, not out of Kedekah. But it's not as glad according to Yerushalmi. Because according to Yerushalmi, it's a Xeris Akosov, that if you put that whoever gets the initial payment gets the second payment. So here, if he hasn't yet paid the original owner, why should he get the payment for anything? Again, nevertheless, the same halacha pertains in that case, according to Yerushalmi.
I would say it's almost like you're rewarding him, because he was willing to take the chance.
He was willing to take a chance, but that means even if he hasn't paid out any money yet. So it flies in the face of the Spindel principle, right? You haven't yet saved his bottom line. Yes, you guaranteed it, but you haven't yet saved it. But in any event, but that's what it says. That's what it says, so you're obviously right. So it says, Amar Mishali money. Says, however, if he says, now I'm going to pay. Now I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. The Yerushalmi is kind of vague here. But if he says I'm going to pay, we're afraid that he actually himself embezzled the thing. So it's not clear exactly, when we say that we're willing to, because he pledges to pay, to give him the rights to the kefil, and we say it must be the fact that he's pledging to pay is because himself is responsible for the item's disappearance.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Yeah, it's a scam. So the question when we say what, it's not clear here at all. The Gemara doesn't clarify when we say what, right?
Which was my question a while back, and I was confused. Does he just pledge to pay, or and if they find the Ganef, does the Ganef pay Kefil even though he pledged and didn't pay the Pikoda?
That's what it sounded like before.
Yeah. Or does you wait until he pays the Baal Pikoda and then the Kefil goes to the Shomer?
Well, that's not what we're saying now. We're saying slightly differently. We're saying, but we're saying before he actually gave any money over, right? Perhaps this pledge is just meant to deflect, attention from him. Just similar to what you're saying, but not exactly the same thing. But I'm not sure. It's not clear to me. The plain Moshe seems to see the Gemaras are arguing with each other. These two Gemaras. One says we trust him implicitly and explicitly, and so we don't trust him at all. But there's probably some medium balance in the middle. In other words, if a person's willing to pay, he doesn't do it with over much alacrity and eagerness, so that indicates to us that he's sincere about it, and he just feels bad about it, and therefore he should get the kefil because he paid the carrot. A person does it with great alacrity and great, what's the word I'm looking for? Great anxiety, then he's probably guilty of some crime, and then there's no way he should ever get the kefil, even though you can't prove about it. So it must be some dichotomy like that, although I'm not sure if I'm correct about that. Similarly, if he said, I'll take an oath, which of course would not allow him to get the kefil, and then he saw they're going to make it take other oaths, right? Because the principle of Gilgal Shvul, once you make it take one, make it take more. Because somebody say, you know what, Mishali money, I'll pay. We're afraid that there's some hanky-panky going on.
If he's willing to pay, what difference does it make?
What?
If he's willing to pay for the item, so what difference does it make, even if there is hanky-panky?
Oh, so it's interesting machlokas about this too. There's something on machlokas according to the Rif, and once he can't renege on the deal, and he's got to take the shvua, and he's got to take the shvua and Gilgal Shvus and tough on him, and he doesn't get the kefil. According to the Rosh and those who are like him, that he can get off the hook by paying. He just won't get the kefil. The machlokas where we make it take the shvua anyway, and he doesn't get the kefil, or he can get off the hook of the shvuas by paying, but he doesn't get the kefil anyway.
Does he get at least one?
What? If he paid, yeah, Pashas, if he paid, he would get one payment, but the kefil would not go there. Okay. Rabbi Yisrael said, "Lo chivas otor shvul hachmir lo elo hakil." The shvul Torah did not require to take a shvul for it to be stringency upon him, but rather leniency. Shemotz l'shalom yishalom. He has the option. If he wants to pay, he pays. If he wants to take the oath, he takes the oath, which is relatively obvious. What if the guy has witnesses that it was stolen unintentionally, right? In other words, the shomer had witnesses. He said, listen, it was stolen unintentionally, so I'm not really liable, but I'll pay you anyway. Can acquire the kefil that way. Even though he's not liable to pay, because he has witnesses as onus, and onus is off the hook. So he'd pay and acquire the kefil anyway. So it says, my lame my blessed, no, you can't sell your knas. And that's what you're asking is, listen, I'm off the hook, but sell me the right to knas which you have. It doesn't work that way. The only way you can acquire knas is through exeris hakosov, which transfers the knas. What's a case like that where a shomer pays? But if a shomer has aided him that he's exempt, right, and nevertheless he pays, he doesn't acquire the kefil thereby. It's an interesting svara. You can't buy knas. You can buy a person's monetary rights, but you can't buy a person's rights to a fine, and you cannot buy.
Trying to think if what the Gemara is saying now reflects the Yerushalmi's view or the Bavli's view about whether it's far or...
Yeah, you know what? It probably reflects, it's a good point, man. It probably reflects the Yerushalmi's view.
Yeah.
Because according to the Bavli, why not? If I'm willing to do him the favor of covering him, what difference does it make? Well, why, yeah, it's good. All right. In other words, it's very good. Very good. This is actually, Ravaz makes the point, but think about the next case, not about this case. Ravaz makes the point that the next case, Yerushalmi only works according to the according to Yerushalmi Spora. But you're right, this case probably also does the same thing. If, however, there were Eidim that it was stolen by negligence, in which case he would be liable to pay, but he could get off the hook theoretically, I guess, by shvur. I'm not sure he gets off now that I think about it.
He swear to Edom that say that he was negligent.
Oh, you're right. No, of course, he has to pay in that case. Right, so Rei B'Chlau Shilin, but that here too is about, that's about Klus Bav Yerushalmi. Klus Yerushalmi, since he would have to pay anyway, he's not doing any favors, so therefore, he's not going to get the kefil. He doesn't deserve the kefil, he's not doing any favors. But according to Yerushalmi, it's a special Xeris Akosov, that whenever the Shomer pays, regardless of the catalyst for the payment,
Even though that he was negligent.
even though he knows it's negligent, right. So that's the irony of these two cases. See, if he's paying because he's liable, he's mechuyev to pay, so then he gets the double, right? If he's paying, despite the fact that he's not mechuyev to pay because he was an ones,
Right.
then he doesn't acquire the kefil. Because you can't buy kefil other than the ways the Torah gave it to you. But according to the Bavli, no. You can buy kefil. How do you buy kefil? By paying, but only by paying where it's a voluntary gesture, or a favor to the person. So that's an interesting distinction which we made, right? So in one case it's the purchase, and where you can't purchase it, you can't get it. In another case, it's doing the guy a favor. If you did him a favor, you get it. If you didn't do the guy a favor, you don't get it. Very good. Okay, now the next line, nobody knows exactly how to learn it. Lieberman says it's a question of where's one ganav stole from another ganav, and now they're giving the kefil. So who do they give it back to? According to Shire there, so it's Torah talking about a shomer who gave to another shomer. And then it was stolen. So when the ganav gives back the money, so to who they give back the money. So basically a similar idea is it where one ganav stole from another ganav, or one shomer gave to another shomer, and then a ganav stole from the second shomer. So let's take that case.
This is the last one that we've had.
No, so that's the first question when one doesn't answer it. Shomer number one gave to shomer number two, and then it was stolen. The Chayanim says a gneva, and it was then found. L'mi mishalim, to whom does he pay the kefil? L'rishon or l'sheni or l'shneim? Right. Eventually, the principle goes back to the master, to the owner. But the question is where the kefil goes. And so we're talking about a case where the both of them paid. I don't know exactly. There must be some clash here. Or they both paid for the Karen, so then the question where the kefil goes to, something to that effect, and more doesn't resolve the question. Okay, halacha base. Somebody who rents a part from his friend Bishul and he loans it to somebody else who makes and it dies kedarka in the normal fashion. Okay, so you have a renter. I rented my cow to Reuven, right? And so it's not a flow.
Well, it's not shiur.
Doesn't matter. Shol is chayav in any case except Mesa Machmas Malacha. If it dies, of course, of doing work. Even act of God, he's liable to pay. So comes out an irony. That's the whole point of our Mishnah. Reuven rented from, let's take three names. No, let's use Hertz. Hertz rent the cow, right? Hertz rented the cow to Reuven. Reuven gave it on loan without getting paid to Shimon.
With Hertz's permission.
With Hertz's permission. Now the car dies, right? The cow dies. Car. So the cow dies. So the socher, the renter, Reuben, gets off the hook with Hertz very easily. He just takes an oath that it died in normal fashion. He's part of because the socher is exempt on an act of God. The animal's dying, right? But a shoyel is mishan l'socher. The shoyel, the guy to whom Reuven loaned it, he has to pay to Reuven because the shoyel is liable on acts of God. So if in this case Hertz loses, Reuven gains. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. Ketzad Allah says how can Reuven make money if Hertz is not going to, if it belongs to Hertz? It's counterintuitive. Hello tafsar balim. It cannot be. The cow must go back to its original owner. Says I understand. Now I said it's with permission, but the Gemara is actually going to prove that there's permission, or rather make that explicit. Excuse me. Does Reuven have permission to rent it, to loan it out to Shimon? A borrower cannot lend out something. A renter rent out something. A borrower rent out. Nor for our purposes. Is a renter allowed to borrow to loan out. Unless they get permission. So the Gemara gets the obvious answer. He gave permission. It should really be lashil, because we're talking about here to loan it. Because the means here, but it's not about somewhere else. It's about in Ksubis. Ushnasla reshus lasos bar potropa. It's about a case where you delegated authority to your wife, and you gave her permission not just that she should be the guardian of a certain part, but you should also be able to give it to her kids to be guardians as well. Not relevant to our sugya, but it got tacked on this line from elsewhere. You know, a lot of times it happens in Yerushalmi, they have fragments of different sugyas which attach on to these sugyas. Rabbi asks like this, in this case also probably. Shalu Bailim Yasoicher. Hertz loaned it, took our loan back from Reuven. Hertz rented out a donkey to Reuven. Then Reuven gave it a loan back to Hertz. You know, Hertz needed it for a minute, so he took it back. So Umeis L'Akar died. Hertz's position. So Reuven takes an oath to Hertz that it died normally. And Hertz has got to pay Reuven. That's right. Yeah, we had it in the Bavli. Maybe I before Yerushalmi, but recently. But it's a well-known Bavli. That's the case. Even if what if Hertz makes a barbecue with it? Does Hertz then have to pay Reuven for having made a barbecue with it? Our Ravina said no. That part doesn't go. If Hertz eats it, that means basically he's terminating the rental agreement, and that means that he's not a shoel who was poshea, but it's a termination of rental agreement, and then he doesn't have to pay. Rabbi yesterday said, we just reiterate the Mishnah. Hecha lo says chora b'farashel chavero is there shemfarish shozeh elatasa parlabam. We pass in Rabbi Yossi that we don't have these counterintuitive cases. In fact, don't work. It has to work out properly. All right, we'll stop here for this evening. We did 2 blocks, and thank you very much for coming. Got a lot of schar for this one.
We'll see if the schar works on the way out.